What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. My name is Blake and you're watching the Aqua Papa. Now in the past we've brought you Electric Blue Jack Dempsey myths, we've brought you some facts about the Jack Dempseys, and we've brought you a plan. Now we've completed said plan and we have an adult. And now we're going to bring you Electric Blue Jack Dempsey tips and tricks. So I'm basically just going to give you guys my top 10 tips, starting from buying your first Jack Dempsey into raising it into a beautiful adult like this guy here. So here we go. Tip number 1, not your first fish. It's true. If you're thinking about getting an Electric Blue Jack Dempsey and it's your first time getting a fish, I strongly suggest you look somewhere else. Maybe just start with like a regular Jack Dempsey or something. Anything else but this guy. There's just so many little things that you would need to know that you can only learn through years of fish keeping. Or at the very least, just do a ton of research on these guys before you actually get one. Please. And that actually walks us into tip and or trick number 2. Get to know your medicines. So the Electric Blue gene is a recessive gene, and what this means is the Electric Blue Jack Dempsey has a naturally lower immune system, which means your fish are going to get sick more often, and they are going to get sicker, and it's going to be harder to treat. So you really need to know your medicine, so when something goes wrong, you can hop on it right away and keep these guys alive. My third tip for these guys is learn how to keep your water very stable. In the early years for these guys, you're going to want to keep their water as stable as possible. The stability is more important than how optimal the water is at this point in their lives, because when they're young, they tend to die. Which brings us right into our next tip and or trick for successfully raising an Electric Blue Jack Dempsey. When you first go to the store and buy them, you're going to want to buy multiple. Yes, you're going to want to buy 4 or 5, as many as you can afford and as many as you can fit, and you can always wean through. Say you have all of them live for some crazy reason, you can wean through. By wean through, I mean you can take a fish here, a fish there, and rehome them or bring them to the fish store or whatever it is you're going to do until you get down to the one fish that you would like to have. Plus, when you buy these guys as juveniles, most of them do die, so you want to grab a bunch of them so you have better odds of having one that lives to be an adult. My next tip, and what I believe might be the most important one, is stock these fish with other fish while they're young. A lot of them. Not only is having a selection of other fish with your Jack Dempsey going to help it with behavioral issues and get it used to being around other fish, what it's going to do is it's also going to help build the fish's immune system so they'll get sick less being around all these other fish. But the one thing you got to remember is the more fish, the messier the tank, the more cleaning. Tip number 6, start your pairs young. If you put a male and a female together from a young age with the other fish, they'll be more likely to bond and create that bonded pair you need for breeding. That being said, if you're looking to breed Electric Blue Jack Dempseys, what you're going to need is an Electric Blue Jack Dempsey, male or female. It doesn't really matter. But what does matter is that its partner is not an Electric Blue Jack Dempsey. The partner should be a regular Jack Dempsey or optimally a blue gene Jack Dempsey. And a blue gene Jack Dempsey is one that looks like a regular as we see here, but it carries the blue gene. The only way you'll really know if you have a blue gene Jack Dempsey is if you know for a fact that the mother or father was an Electric Blue. And the reason you need a blue gene or a regular Jack Dempsey is because if you breed 2 Electric Blues together, 100% of the fry will die in their wiggler stage. Which is really bogus because 100% of the fry would also be Electric Blue. If you use a regular Jack Dempsey, 25 to 30% of the fry will be Electric Blue. If you use a blue gene Jack Dempsey, about 50% will be Electric Blue as well. Tip number 7. Now tip number 7 kind of goes along with tip number 2. You need to have a hospital tank. If you don't know what a hospital tank is, it's a separate tank that you don't usually keep fish in, and it's smaller, like a 5 or a 10-gallon fish tank, depending on the size of the fish you have. And you run it and you keep it cycled just so if your fish gets sick, you can put the sick fish into the tank and dose it with medicine, because it's a lot easier to dose a smaller amount of water than a large amount of water. Plus, you don't want to be dosing fish with medicine if they don't need it. Having a hospital tank is also a good financial decision because if you buy a $20 bottle of medicine and you have to use half the bottle on a huge fish tank, it's more expensive obviously than just using a few drops in a smaller fish tank. Tip number 8. Knowing when to separate. If you're looking to breed, I find knowing when to separate to be very important. They're going to get older, they're going to become adults, then they're going to want their territory as a pair so they can breed in that territory, and that's going to cause fights between your other fish and your Jack Dempseys, which you don't want, because if they're too stressed out, and if they don't feel like they're the leaders of their territory or the alpha or whatever you want to call them, then they probably won't breed. So to be the most successful, avoid injuries and any extra stressors. Once you see these guys be paired up and they're about 2 inches, that's when I would take the pair and move them to their own aquarium. Personally, I don't have mine exactly by themselves. I have them with some corridors and a clown loach, and that's just to clean up the bottom. The Jack Dempseys don't even really realize those guys are in there. But I wouldn't keep them with another cichlid or anything similar in size. Tip number 9, and this really goes for any cichlid or any fish or invertebrate breeding at all, you're going to want to feed them more when you want them to breed, because typically fish, things such as snails and stuff like that, generally won't want to breed if they don't feel there's enough of a food source. So once they're adults and you want them to breed, you're going to want to feed them just a little bit extra so they know there's an abundance of food so their young will have something to eat. Quick fun fact. If you have snails and you do not feed the snails enough to sustain their young, they will not reproduce. And tip number 10, get out there and give it a shot. You're going to lose some fish probably. You're going to spend some money that's only going to last a little while until it's floating in your tank, not living anymore. But don't let that discourage you, because if you keep going, you're eventually going to turn out with a guy or a girl that is absolutely gorgeous and an amazing fish to have that not a lot of people have either. And that's my top 10 tips and tricks for raising, keeping, and breeding Electric Blue Jack Dempseys. Don't forget to like this video, share, subscribe, and if you did like this video, check out this one right here. Till next time, guys. Peace.